Hey everybody, Winstreak here. Welcome back to video 3 of our How to Make a Game tutorial. Today we are going to be adding an animation to our sprite for an attack, as well as adding a HUD that will follow us around, and we can drop it down so we can look at our stats and then hide it from view. So, without further ado, let's hop on in, and I'm going to start out with the sprite attack animation, and we'll be making this from scratch. It won't be anything amazing, but if you're using free sprites, you're going to have to be able to do a little editing here and there, just because you'll never get exactly what you want from the free sprites. So it's good to at least have some sort of idea of how to do it. So I'm going to grab just a random, just my default one, and I'm going to duplicate it, and we're going to name this attack. Oops. And right off the bat, I want to change his feet, just because when you attack, generally both your feet will be on the ground. Oops. So I'm just going to paste that there. And there we go. Looks a little more like he's standing there. And I'll stretch out the canvas size. And I want to align center and just change the width here. And we'll throw in 48. And then we will edit it back down to the size we actually want later. Then I'm going to move the sprite to the left. And I'm going to hop to one of my other animations. Click this origin and see about where it is on the character. And I want that to maintain the same position on the character. Since I moved everything, I want this to be right under that eye. And we can look at a few. When he's down, it's right under his eye, and that's about where our character is. So we're going to set this here and set it to whole animation, and then we should be good to go. It should line up and keep the character in the same position, because if we just moved him to the left here on a bigger map, when we switch to attack, our character would jump to the left side of the screen here. So this will keep it where it is, but also give us this extra room for more animations in a larger hit area for our attack. And then I'm just going to keep this super simple. I'm going to work with two colors. I'm going to work with just a black and a white color. They'll show good contrast, and it'll just be a fast image of some slash attack like thing. So I'm going to just start it inside my body, and first one won't be anything special. And then this is a cool tool, the onion skin. It'll show your last graphics if they're not drawn over on the new one. So we won't see it right here. Everything I drew was underneath where I already was, but we'll see it here in a little bit. So I want that to come down slightly. So all I'm going to do is make a small change and then continually change it in the direction I want it to go.
So here we're going to come down. Oop, I don't like that. And then left click will drop my color of choice, right click will erase because I have a clear spot there. And we'll copy a blank one more time.
And then, okay, now we can see with the onion layer that our last one came out to here, and that'll help us without having to jump back and forth as much. Alright, and we'll go ahead and check this out. And I'm just going to hop down here and change my initial frame to attack and throw a preview on. And it's got the general correct idea. I'm going to make this a lot faster though. We're going to throw it at 35 speed. And try that again. And it's just weird whip-like attack. Good enough. And set this back to idle. And of course, if you don't have the preview down here, you can always just preview it in game. We're going to get to that in a second anyways. We'll just set it to be our spacebar. And we will set animation to attack. And now we have to go back and edit some earlier code. So we want to make sure that run doesn't overwrite the attack. So whenever we are about to set it to run, we want to verify we're not currently attacking. So is hero playing and attack. So if hero is moving, set to run as long as we're not attacking. And if we're not moving and not attacking, then we'll set it to idle. And then when we press space, we will set it to attack. And now to get back to these, since I'll be staying in attack after attacking, it won't ever re-trigger these. I'm just going to set an animation on finish with attack, and we'll set it to idle, and then this previous code will take care of where to send it from idle. Alright, we can hop in the game and verify that works. I can jump around and attack, and seems to still go into run, still go into idle, and figure out what it wants to do. So, looking good there, and now to add the HUD display. So, I'm going to create a new layer on top of this old one. And I'm going to click this button here, which just hides everything. It makes it so I can't click on any of the old stuff that would be in my way. We can always add it back. But for now, we won't be using any of it. And we will start off with a large sprite. And before I make this, if you click on this, it'll show you all of your properties for your actual game. And it shows you your viewport size right here. And I want a drop down bar to cover the whole thing, so I wanted this size. So just so you know where to get it from, I'm going to create the sprite, and we're going to set it to 854. Where to go? Alright, so what happened there, I laid it down, but I was selected on here. You can see the gray bar moves up and down. Doesn't matter what one's checked. Whatever one is highlighted is where you'll create the object. So I can click on here, and I can't really see any of the details because I have it removed completely. So I have to recheck in this box here. I'll be able to see it again, and I want to move this up to layer 1. And I want to select on layer 1. That way, new items get dropped on layer 1. And I'm going to grab the origin and set it to 0, 0. And then I'm going to set the position to 0, 0. And 200 is too much. So I'm going to bring this up to 150. Actually, let's do it this way. So I have it highlighted. I'm just moving it up with my keyboard. That should be enough, and that'll close off the box. Zoom in. There we go. I'm just going to fill that in. And now when I play, we can see we got it on the top of our screen there. And we'll fill that in with, let's start with a HP bar. And I have some graphics that I'll use that I have to essentially just cut and paste out of Paint. So, here, I'll show you what I'm working with. And this is all downloadable for free. I'll throw the link in the description so you can find it. And I'm just going to open the frames with Paint 3D and just grab one that I like. I'll go with, I want a whiter background. We'll just do like this oval one here. So I'm just going to grab my select tool and we'll just grab it up and Control C to copy it. And we're done with that. And we'll use that again, so I'll just move to the side a little bit. Open up a new sprite and paste it on there. Get rid of the dead space. And this is going to be huge. So we'll move it here and make some edits. And let's throw it down to like 34. Control Z, we're going to make sure we are set to stretch, and we'll try that again with 34. Close on out. Yeah, that's good enough. And then we need the health bar. So let me set this to health bar outer. There are two T's in the outer. Nope. And then we will jump back to our free sprites and I'm going to grab a health bar off here. So same thing. Pop open paint. And this one should match close enough. And I like the color, so we'll copy that. Close on out, get that out of the way. And throw another sprite down. Get rid of the excess. And then I need this one to be larger than the other one. And I'm also going to need to set this to the outer left side curve here. So I want the HP bar to start here with the fill. And then this one I want to have all the way on the left of my actual image. And then I will need the size of this one, which is 127 by 34, and this one has to be a little smaller. That way it's not overlapping the borders. So let's try 28. And I'm gonna get rid of that, go down to 120 maybe. There we go. That covers it. And everything that goes on this HUD, we are going to give the pin behavior. That way we can keep it attached to the HUD. So we can just worry about moving this one object, which let's just name that HUD right now. We can just worry about moving this one object out of the way when we want to get rid of it, and it'll move everything else with it. So we got pin here, and pin here. And on start a layout, I'm just going to go ahead and pin those. And we'll do the fill onto the outer bar. And we'll do the outer bar onto the HUD. So now when the outer bar follows the HUD, the fill will also follow the outer bar and also follow the HUD. And we'll just name this to fill. And before those do anything, I'm just going to set these to a location. Set position, and we'll do 3250. And we want to do the same thing with the fill. We should be good to set it to the same exact position. And we can drop in here, and we can see they're up there. And we can see that we run away from our HUD. So in order to fix that, we'll hop back into our layout, and click down here on the layer 1, and we want this parallax, and that controls the scroll here, and we're just going to do 0 by 0. And once we do that, we can see it follows us no matter where we go. But it takes up some of our screen, so now we're going to set the way to hide it, and we'll just do it on keyboard press. And I like I for inventory. We don't have an inventory on there yet, but we can add our items or whatever up there if we want to have any. So key press I, and we'll use on screen here. So if our HUD is on screen, boop, there we are. If the HUD is on screen, we want to set the HUD to a new position, and we will do HUD X and HUD Y minus 300, and I grabbed 300 because we know that this is less than 300, so if I move it up 300, it'll be off the screen. And we need to make sure it's off the screen since we're doing it based off the screen here. And our next one, copy paste this. I'm going to invert this, so if it is off the screen, we want to set the position to 0, 0. And we know it's 0, 0 because we set it right off the bat to be at position 0, 0. And it all lined up for us, so now every time we'll reset this to 0, 0. And if for some reason our display ever gets off track, setting this to a set location instead of just basing it off where it was will fix it, put it back on track for us. So now we can jump in here, and we hit I and nothing happens, and that is because we hit I, it sets this off, and then instantaneously jumps down to this one and resets the position. So I'm just going to put a super small weight, 0.1, on both of these before they actually do anything, and you won't even notice that weight when you're looking, but it will give enough time before those can drop down to the next spot. So that way, hit an I, we can make it go away, and I again, it comes back, and then we'll spend a few seconds here throwing text bars up, and this first one will be our HP bar, HP text, and let's see, we want this centered, horizontally centered. Oops. And this will say something along the lines of some health out of some more health, but we didn't add that yet, so it's just a placeholder. And over here we will add some stats, so we'll name it stats text, and we can go ahead and pin behavior for both of these before we forget. And we will activate the pin, pin to object, and they'll just both go to the HUD. And copy paste that, so I just have to edit what one I'm pinning. And then on every tick up here, since we already have it, I'm going to set our stats text to level, and we don't have any of this information yet, so I'm just going to set the base for it. Oops, for the new line, let me just add some useless question marks, but we'll fill that in next time. So we'll have our level, and then EXP to next level. And oh, we can call it strength. And then we'll also do a progress. That'll be %. And I just threw these in here so when we figure out what our stats are based off of, which will mostly be just globals, I can just erase this and plug in the actual event, and the question mark lets me know that it's not done yet. But otherwise, we can test this one last time, and we can see it's all up there. It all follows our HUD. It goes away and comes back. So we are good, and that will complete this one. Our next one, we will add an enemy, and we will try to fight it. So, catch you next time. Have a good one.